Ayun, good evening class, no? Let's discuss yung Unit 1 ng Pharmacology natin. So, to start, of course, we need to define what pharmacology is, no? So, for pharmacology, this is the study of history, sources, and physical and chemical properties of drugs. But in a sense po, it is the study or this is the study on how drugs affects the body and how body reacts to drugs, no? Para mas madali. Technically general siya. To specify that, we have pharmacodynamics, no? This is the study of biochemical and physiological effects of drugs. Technically, pag-usapan dito, pagka sinabi natin pharmacodynamics, ano yung epekto ng drugs sa katawan, no? Next, we have pharmacokinetics, study of absorption, distribution, biotransformation, and excretion of drugs. Pharmacokinetics naman, this is how our body reacts to the drugs, no? So, kung makikita nyo, yun ang difference nila. With pharmacodynamics, pinag-aaralan yung epekto ng drug sa katawan. Sa pharmacokinetics, yung naging reaction ng katawan doon sa drugs. From the time na, let's say, tablet na drug, from the time na you swallowed it, no, anong nangyayari? No, na-absorb, tapos na-distribute sa different parts or kung saan siya dapat, depende sa gamot. And then how it is being metabolized doon sa liver and paano siya in-excrete. Let's say, inihimo yung drugs, no, kung paano siya lumabas. So, yun ang pharmacokinetics. Now, pharmacotherapeutics, this is the study of how drugs may be best used in treatment of illnesses. So, paano siya nakakatulong for treatment naman sa illnesses, no? So, pharmacotherapeutic. So, again, the term lang na therapeutics, dapat doon pa lang gets nyo na yung best used for treatment, no? Or yung for treatment of illnesses, doon ginagamit yung drug na yun. Now, pharmacognosy, this is a study of drugs derived from herbal and other natural resources. So, alam niyo na yun, no? Herbal and natural resources. Now, toxicology naman, ito yung study sa mga poison or poisoning and how, let's say, a certain drug can have a toxic effect, no, sa tao or any living organism. That's toxicology. Now, of course, we have uses of drugs, no? So, most common, of course, yung depende sa symptoms or the symptomatic treatment. Let's say, sumakit ang ulo mo, we will provide or we will take paracetamol, for example, no? Preventive drugs, of course, ginagamit yan para hindi tayo magkasakit. Normally dyan yung mga vaccines, no? Diagnostic, ito nga yung radiopaque dye, no? Curative drug, antibiotics, no? For example, health maintenance drugs, no? Mga maintenance, insulin, no? Marami pa. Let's say, for the maintenance drugs, sartan, for HPN or hypertension, no? Contraceptive, ito naman yung mga iwas buntis, alam niyo na yan. So, na-discuss naman natin before yan, mga contraceptive drugs. Now, we have dosage forms. We all know naman that different drugs comes with different forms, no? Depende kung paano sila gagamitin, some in form of tablet, no, etc. So, isa-isahin natin yung mga different forms. Una yung tablet. This is the most common popular form or dosage ng drug. Usually, yan ang pinakamadali talagang i-administer. As long as, of course, conscious and coherent ang pasyente or ang kliyente natin, they can take yung tablet. Then, we have time or sustained release tablets, no? When these tablets come in contact with the gastric fluid, the fluid causes small amounts of this dissolve, no? Pakunti-kunti naglilik yan through a small channel in the wax matrix and promotes gradual release of drug over several hours. So, again, parang naka-program sila na pakunti-kunti or depende, no? Yung effect and release ng certain or yung pag-release nung gamot na yon. Kasi there are times that these drugs or these certain drugs are irritating, sa ating gastric lining, and possible sikmurain ka or madamage yung gastric lining. So kaya kailangan talaga, it's very gradual yung pag-release ng tablet or nung certain drug na yun. Capsule, we all know what capsule is. We've all seen this. This is a dosage form in which a drug is enclosed in either a hard or soft soluble shell. Usually it's made of gelatin. Again, the shell, yung shell na pinaglalagyan ng gamot, generally it dissolves in the stomach within 10 to 20 minutes. So, pagka-take nyo ng drugs or any capsule, again, 10 to 20 minutes, nare-release na yan. Tapos, we have our troches. You're familiar with lozenges. Yun din yun, mga lozenges. Suppositories. So, you know what suppositories is. These are the dosage form inserted, sa ating orifice, usually yung rectum, vagina, and urethra. We have solutions. Ito yung mga liquid form. This is a clear liquid preparation that contains one or more solvents. Again, yung iba dito, you're very familiar naman na class. Again, solutions. For oral medication. Mga syrup, that solutions. Suspension naman, these are liquid dosage forms that contain solid drug particles that are suspended in a suitable liquid medium. So most suspensions are administered orally, although some are applied to skin as lotion or liniment or administered via injection. For solution or for suspension, yun yung minsan nabibili natin. Minsan yan mga antibiotic ng mga bata. Nilalagyan niyo pa ng tubig, So, iba-iba naman. Then, emulsions. These are dispersion of fine droplets of an oil in water or water in oil. Sample niyan, mga castor oil. That's emulsion. And then, we have topical dosage forms. Pag sinabi natin topical, yun, mga cream, semi-solid. There are many different semi-solid dosage kasi that utilize, na ginagamit din sa skin. Ang mga example niyan, mga petroleum jelly, so creams pa rin naman sila. Topical patches, ito yung mga gamot na parang idinidikit sa balat, then yung effect nun magpa-pass through, or yung gamot magpa-pass through sa ating skin, Isa sa mga madalas ating nakikita dyan yung mga nitroglycerin, Ay, nailagay ko pala dito yung nitroglycerin. So example is nitroglycerin, yan yung ginagamit na gamot for angina, So yun. So next we have the implant, Implant, these are drugs that administered to for extended period of time, sometimes as long as 5 years. Makikita nyo yung implant, lalo na sa mga contraceptives. Then we have our parenteral products. For parenteral, yun yung mga ini-inject. Pag sinabi natin parenteral, yung mga ampule, vials. So yun. Now, we have drug names. We have our chemical names, generic name, and the brand name. So, naglagay tayo ng example dito for chemical name, that's acetylsalicylic acid, and then aspirin, yung kanyang generic name. Yung brand name is Aspilet. Though, marami naman tayo pwedeng gamitin, tama bang spelling Aspilet ko? Anyway, so, pwede naman different brand name. For example, TEDS aspirin, for example. So, depende naman kung anong brand name. Kasi binibigay naman ng manufacturer yung brand name. So, kahit na ano pa yan. For example, paracetamol, maraming paracetamol sa generic name. Pero ang brand name niya, let's say Biogesic. No? Ano po ba mga paracetamol na available? No? So, pwede Ulas or Alex. No? So, depende. Now, we have classifications of drugs. I'm sorry. May isang prescription and non-prescription. Of course, pag sinabi natin prescription, you have a prescription given by the physician or by a physician. And non-prescription, ito yung hindi naman na kailangan. For non-prescription, ito yung mga over-the-counter drug. No? Nabibili sila kahit walang prescription. No? Yun lang naman yan. So, storage of medication. Tandaan nyo, class 4 storage, you need to read, of course, or you need to be familiarized with different drugs. Different drugs need to have a different storage. No? Some, okay na sa kanila, ma-store in a normal room temperature, but others, it requires, kailangan nasa ref sila or a certain degree Celsius of temperature. So, iba-iba. Sometimes pa nga yung iba kailangan nasa brown bottle. No? So, iba-iba. No? We just need to be familiarized with how different medication should be stored. Next, may tinatawag tayong controlled substance. No? These are agents that have been identified by various governmental bodies as having the ability to cause physical or psychological dependence. No? Ito yung mga, let's say, narcotics. No? Ito yung mga medyo, in a layman's term, medyo nakaka-addict. No? So, medyo controlled sila. Kasi pagka hindi, medyo nagiging dependent ang tao. Pangit mong pakinggan yung salitang addiction, nangyayari. No? So, kailangan ito, hindi mo ito makukuha ng over-the-counter. Kailangan mo ng prescription to have this. No? And yung nag-disperse din ng gamot o yung nagbebenta o yung nag-release, matindi ang kanilang record for this. No? So, hindi lang basta-basta talaga nakakakuha ng mga gantong klase ng gamot. Investigational drug. In order to fulfill the requirement of FDA for drug administration, a manufacturer who wishes to market a new product or a new drug must perform a wide array of animal studies and carry out clinical testing in drug in human subjects. So, yun, from the term pa lang, alam nyo naman, investigational drug. So, we need to investigate how this drug can affect, if fully pwede na ba yan i-release sa market. No? For example, vaccine. No? Vaccine ngayong panahon ng COVID. No? Of course, may mga trial talaga yan. No? Before tinday sa tao, sa hayop muna. No? So, hindi yan po pwedeng basta-basta i-release na lang sa market. Then, product insert. It is a detailed description of a drug product that is required to be included in the package of all Legend Drugs products sold in the United States. Actually, hindi lang naman sa United States. It's pati naman sa lahat naman. Makikita nyo yan madalas doon sa mga boxes. No? May mga papers doon. Andun lahat ng description ng drug. So, yun. For drug description, ito yung, this section describes the physical and chemical properties of active drug in the product. No? It may include information about the appearance of the drug, its solubility, chemical formula, structure, etc. So, again, may description lang talaga. Like, sabi ko nga, dito sa product insert, dito makikita nyo rin yung detailed description talaga ng drug. Clinical pharmacology, this describes the mechanism of action of the active drug in the human body. So, yun. Then, indication and usage. Napagawa po na kayo ng drug study before, di ba? Kasi nga, medyo nagkaroon na tayo ng konting, medyo na-advance natin ang pharma before. So, you're familiar with what indication and usage is with a certain drug. No? Pag sinabi lang natin indication or usage, this indication is parang para saan siya? No, approved use or ng certain drug na yun. No? So, you're basically familiar what indication or usage is. No? Contraindication, of course, pag sinabi natin contraindication, hindi siya po pwedeng gamitin. No? And hindi naman sa hindi pwedeng gamitin. Kaya lang, parang gano'n na rin, no? This product should not be used, no? For example, if may allergy, hypersensitivity, yung isang tao doon sa certain drug na yun, of course, huwag mo na ibigay kasi makaka-harm ka lang. For example, may mga antibiotics that are, or may mga tao that are allergic for a certain drug. So, of course, huwag mo na ibigay yun. So, yun. Warnings, of course. These are situations in which there is a threat of imminent and serious danger in the drug product. No? For example, during the pregnancy or in the presence of fatal disease, hindi siya pwedeng gamitin. No? Kaya lahat naman ng drugs na lumalabas, no, sa market, laging may ganyan. No? Especially sa mga buntis. No? Kaya if you're pregnant, check nyo lahat ng drugs. No? If pwede sa inyo. Hindi kasi lahat pwede. For example, paracetamol, yung especially nga, if naalala niyo yung mga commercial ng Biogesic, for example, na lang, okay daw sa buntis. So, at least walang warning doon. Pero, Neosep, for example, no? You're familiar with Neosep, hindi siya. As much as possible, hindi siya talaga. No? May mga warnings dyan. No? Precautions. No? These are suggestive steps that should be taken to use a drug product safely. For example, doing frequent drug renal function testing while the client is using the drug product. No? This section also generally includes a statement of the pregnancy category in which drug has been placed, category X, for example, etc. So, precaution lang din naman. Since this lecture is recorded, hindi po ako nag-advertise ng Biogesic or Neosep. They are a very good product. Kaya lang when it comes to pregnancy, of course, hindi lahat ng gamot ay, and some, wala namang sure study if they are safe or not, no, during pregnancy. So, for lecture purposes lang naman. Walang advertisement. Overdosage, of course. This section lists the danger if any of using excessive quantities of the drug product. Again, overdosage comes if there's an excessive usage, no, of this drug, no, or or excessive quantities, no, ng drug product na tinitake ng isang tao. Dosage and administration. This is a listing of dosage and administration techniques recommended for the use of drug product. It may indicate whether or not the product should be administered with meal. Oo, totoo yun. There are products na dapat tinitake with full meal or, full meal. No? Full meal na nakakain ka na or kailangan empty stomach. No? For example, omeprazole, that's a proton pump inhibitor, pero dapat iniinom siya empty stomach, no, to have the best result for that drug. Pero for example, may mga antibiotic din naman na dapat tinitake na full stomach, no, nakakain ka talaga. Kung hindi, baka magkaroon ng possible gastric pain. No, depende kung ano magiging reaction ng katawan. So, ganun. How supplied, of course. This list of dosage forms, strength, and package sizes of the drug product that are available from the manufacturer. It may also list the codes used on each forms of the product should be stored. For example, refrigerator. So how it is supplied. Adverse drug effects. These may be classified according to whether or not they are related to pharmacological effects of the drugs. Those which result from the pharmacology effects of the drugs are most common and are often referred to as side effect. Class, if you remember before, napag-usapan na natin, what's the difference of adverse effect and side effects? No? Side effects, medyo alam na natin ito. No, medyo, pag sinabi natin side effect, ito yung mga parang in-expect na natin. No? But for adverse effect, ito yung medyo hindi natin in-expect. na pwedeng maging effect ng drug, no? So, I think naalala niyo naman yung mga last lecture natin. Ulitin ko, side effect, ito yung mga common na nakikita when a certain drug is being taken, no? Pero, pag sinabi natin adverse effect or adverse drug effects, ito yung not very common na nakikita na epekto ng isang drug kapag tinake ng isang tao. So, huwag pagkakamalian ulit. Side effects, these are common effects na nakikita. Medyo hindi lang siya therapeutic, no? Of course, hindi naman yung therapeutic side ang tinitignan natin or pinag-uusapan kapag side effects. Kaya lang, with adverse effect, hindi siya common na nakikita. No? So, yun, adverse effect. So, teratogenic drug, it is one that will cause a congenital defect in an infant whose mother took the drug while pregnant. Again, teratogenic drug, pag itinik ang mga drug na to, pwede magkaroon ng problem doon sa baby. No? If, again, ang nag-take ay pregnant woman. No? Drug tolerance. This means that the client develops a resistance to the effect of or effects of drugs. So it is characterized by the need for an increased dose or frequency of drug administration. Nagkakaroon ng drug tolerance class, for example, antibiotic. Pagka nagsi-self-medicate, no? Ang tao, tapos, before kasi, I'm not sure anong year, dating antibiotics sa Philippines nakukuha without any prescription. Parang over-the-counter siya. Ngayon, hindi na, of course. Kaya noon, parang ang bilis makakuha ng antibiotic. So, nag-self-medicate ang mga tao. Nagkakaroon sila ng drug tolerance. Kasi, nagkakaroon ka ng drug tolerance in a sense na, for example, ang kailangan dosage mo ay 500 mg ng isang certain antibiotic. Kaya lang, since nag-self-medicate ka, meron lang ay 250, take ka ng take ng ganon. So, nagkakaroon ng nagkakaroon ng resistance yung virus or bacteria, for example, yung bacteria, no? So, kasi nga, kulang yung dosage, no? Nagkakaroon ng drug tolerance, no? So, doon nagkaka-problem. Kaya nga, mahalaga pa rin na tayo ay nagpapatingin sa doktor for us to have a right dosage ng drug na kailangan natin for a certain disease, no? Then, physical drug dependence. Again, the term pa lang ng dependence. This exists when the body becomes so accustomed to a drug that the body cannot function normally unless the drug is present. So, ito yung mga drugs, ito yung term na ginagamit kapag, for example, hindi mo na-take yung certain drug na yun, feeling mo physiologically hindi ka makapag-function. Example lang ito, bigyan ko ng example, though it might not be true, no? Na example, pag hindi ka nakatake ng isang gamot, let's say paracetamol lang, so again, this is an example. Feeling mo masakit lagi ulo mo kasi naging dependent ka na doon. Or pain reliever niyan. Yan ang pinakamadalas na nagkakaroon tayo ng dependence. No? Pain reliever. If hindi ka nakatake noon, feeling mo may masakit lagi. No? Or it might be true, it might be not. No? Pwedeng talagang may masakit. Pwedeng naging dependent ka na lang sa certain drug na yon. Or sa pain reliever na yon, na feeling mo ngayon, ikaw ay or may masakit sa'yo. No? Next natin, psychological. Let's say, sa pain reliever na lang din, for example, again, psychological dependence pa rin. Of course, when the drug is the center of a person's thought, emotion, and activities, pwede rin ito sa pain reliever, for example. No? Pasok pa rin natin. May mga client kasi, or pasyente pa rin, na feeling nila kapag hindi nila tinake ang isang gamot, let's say pain reliever nga, masakit pa rin yung certain illness or any pain na nararamdaman nila. They cannot function without that certain drug. No? Physical man yan na totoo or psychological man yan. No? Now, ito, yung pharmacokinetics factors. No? So, pharmacokinetics, this is the study, like pinag-usapan nga natin kanina, study of drug liberation, absorption, distribution, biotransformation, and excretion of drugs. It also includes a study of relationship of each of these factors to the concentration of a drug and or its chemical byproduct in various body site and over various period of time. So let's talk about liberation. When a solid drug is administered enterally, orally, or let's say orally, no, it must first dissolve in gastric or intestinal fluids before it can be absorbed into the body. Ulitin ko, pag sinabi nating liberation, let's say for example, nag-take ka ng drug, no, i-tablet for example, kailangan ma-dissolve muna yan, no, bago ma-absorb yung pinaka-drug. Madurog muna. So that's liberation. No? Administering fluids with a solid dose will generally increase the rate at which a drug dissolves and the speed at which it is absorbed. No? So again, that's liberation. Tingnan niyo yung format or yung pagkakasunod-sunod. Again, pharmacokinetics, this is how the body now reacts doon sa drug. Ano, no? Hindi kamukha ng pharmacodynamics. Ang pinag-uusapan sa pharmacodynamics ay ano ang epekto ng drug sa katawan. Pharmacokinetics, ito yung nangyayari sa katawan, no? Or nangyayari sa katawan kapag ka nagtitake tayo ng drugs, no? So how our body reacts to it, no? So una, liberation. Next, we have absorption. Of course, pag sinabi natin absorption, it is a process by which a drug passes, no, from its sites of administration into the fluids, which the body, of course, body that will carry it to the site of action. Again, absorption. From the term itself, the drug will be absorbed. No? Maraming pwedeng site of absorption. Pwede yan nasal, pwede rin namang oral, no? Marami pa. Pwede rin naman pagka, let's say, inject, no? Pag sa absorption naman, kasi class, parang mas malapit or mas mabilis na mai-insert yan sa ating system, the better or the faster. Kaya iba-iba pa rin ang forms ng drugs, diba? So, pag-isipan nyo, sa absorption, ano mas mabilis? Orally, let's say a tablet, ang effect niya, or nag-inject via IV or sa intravenous. No? I think mas mabilis naman talaga. No? Kung titignan nyo, logically speaking, pag-absorb pa lang ng drug, ay mas mabilis ang absorption kapag nasa stream agad. No? Kasi nga, let's say, orally versus IV, no? Mas mabilis pa rin, of course, si IV. No? And then distribution, it is the process by which a drug is carried from its site of absorption to its site of action. From the time na na-absorb mo yung drug, no, saan siya dapat mapunta? No? So, when a drug enters the bloodstream, it is carried most probably to those organs having an extensive blood supply, such as heart, liver, kidneys, and brain. Areas with less extensive blood supply like muscle, skin, and fats receive the drug more slowly. So, again, distribution, from na-absorb mo siya, nakapasok sa bloodstream mo, i-distribute yan. Depende na nga lang, of course. Like, sabi nga dito, kung mas marami yung blood supply, mas marami pa rin or mas extensive, no, yung blood supply, mas mabilis, no. Pagka less blood supply, mas mabagal, no. Kasi nga, dinidistribute muna. Now, biotransformation, in order to be eliminated from the body by the way of kidney, a compound must be fairly soluble in the water. Since many drugs are not very water-soluble, they must first undergo drug metabolism or biotransformation to convert them to a more water-soluble form. It is also useful since it may permit the body to inactivate a potent drug before it accumulates and produces toxic effect. Pag biotransformation naman, again, it is just being metabolized. Normally, gumagawa nito, it's the liver, no? So it is being metabolized para mas madali rin ma-excrete, no? Etc. Pag sinabi naman natin excretion or elimination, this is just excretion. It could be via sweat, no, sa urine. It could be depende, iba-iba, no? As long as ma-release yan sa katawan mo, that's elimination. So, that's for our Unit 1, no? Wait lang po kayo sa next video natin or sa next video natin for our Unit 2, no? We'll talk about computation naman, no? Ng drugs, no? So, thank you very much, no? Sana may natutunan. Medyo, I don't know if medyo mabilis yung lecture, but madali lang naman siya, no? So, yun. Maraming salamat po.